It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? What is that? Some speak. That's my phone? That's not my phone. It's your phone. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's my phone. Hey, everybody. I've been away for a little day or two. And man, did a lot happen.
A lot.
Since I've been gone, and even after I got back. But I got a lot to talk about. Today. But one is, and I want to show some appreciation to the people of True Bethel, both members and friends and givers. And I'm going to tell you why. I just took a photo. We just hosted a double funeral. So it's two hearses outside right now of two sisters who died, Ernestine Gordon and Mary Watson. Now listen to this. They both were born, and they're blood sisters, in 1952, one in January, one in December. They both died a day apart. So they both were born in the same year, and they both died in the same year.
Wow.
Yeah, they died, I'm being told, like 12 hours apart, and this isn't a homicide. So, but what I wanted to show appreciation for is, we do a lot of homegoings from this church, a lot. I think sometimes we have more deceased members, loved ones, than some funeral homes. I'm thanking the people of True Bethel, because every church would not allow this. They wouldn't, and I get it, churches can't staff a whole lot of homegoings, especially when they aren't members. But True Bethel, I remember it has got to be, 14, 15 years ago when I asked at a planning meeting, when the Lord laid on my heart, to try our best to try to take care of our community, especially in times of distress. And it was just overwhelmingly a yes, and that has kept up. The other week we were pleased to host the family of Otis Glover. Then this week, and I didn't even know that it was still happening, the 17-year-old young lady. And then we have Jupe coming up. I think next Saturday. So I wanted to say to the people of True Bethel, thank you, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be able to allow this to happen. And I know, some of my pastor friends across the country, doing something like this would be, oh my gosh, they would have to have 58 church meetings, and who's going to pay for this and who's going to pay for that. And, sometimes families just don't have the funds, and we do our best to accommodate, because I feel like one of the worst days of a person's existence is losing a loved one. So thank you, True Bethel. While I'm on that, before I get to all my topics, we are still collecting sneakers this Sunday, even today. We need bigger sizes. We got a lot of little sneakers, and we do. We have over right now 300 on the last count, and that was last week, 380 now. Mm-hmm. And so we will be going out. We are going to take our food truck and feed people for free, get these young people the sneakers so they can get back to school. So if you're out and about and you just happen to be, I see new shoes in there even.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of folks who just stopped at store and picked up some new sneakers. And True Bethel itself, for some of the larger sizes, again, thank you, True Bethel. We go into the store and we just gonna buy some of those sizes that we need because how about they have the door open and they're hollering while I'm on the air. So anyway, so True Bethel allows us to be able to do that kind of work. For instance, the food. We're not getting a grant to go out there and feed somebody. We're using our tithes and offerings. And Mr. Tony is already on his way to Sam's or someplace, BJ's someplace, to get the meals, to be able to feed the kids out in the community. So thank you. All right, got that out the way. So, yeah, a lot happened. Buffalo 5. Let me tell you, and I know I did a video. I wasn't here, but the Buffalo 5, I got a call while I was away from Paul Cambria, and a text, and he says, basically, your guys, it's over. We got your guys free. Now, some would say, well, the Buffalo 5 were already free. Well, they weren't free because they were still on paper. And if you don't know the story, it was 5 teenagers years ago, I think 70s, that were accused of killing a man. 5 African-American teenagers accused of killing a white man on Fillmore, although there was no blood evidence, or there was no evidence that linked them to the crime, except what the DA calls, this is his words, I'll say my words, a jailhouse informant, somebody who was in jail. And that's what they depended on. And then one person who he didn't go to jail turned on the others, and the kids said, we never did this crime. The former Judge McLeod was one of their lawyers. He was able, I believe, to get his client off. Yep. The others had to depend. This, folks, why it's so important to have a relationship with a lawyer. Because at the end of the day, the other ones who had to depend on a public defender, they all went down the river and did their time, by the way, did their time. No. Did the time that they were sentenced to, because it wasn't their time, because they kept saying they didn't do it, right, and there was no evidence. And then they found out that some of the evidence that should have been presented was never presented. And I guess when Judge McLeod, who was one of their lawyers, had a picture that showed that there weren't footprints, 5 pair of footprints. There was only one, I think, footprint. And then they lost the photo. And Paul Cambria, I was doing an interview, and it's kind of crazy. Doing the interview, guy from Buffalo News, and he says to me, what do you think be the chances of them getting off? And I said, unless somebody volunteers, unless they get a great lawyer. And his partner, Genter, in the law firm, also was a part of this. But here's the deal. Paul volunteered. Asked me, are these your guys? And I said, these are my guys. And Paul volunteered. He went in and he represented them for free. And they're no longer on paper. They had to still check in. They still had to be in the house at a certain hour. They still had a curfew.
Yep.
The judge said that he set it aside, which basically meant that they could be tried again. But I'm so glad that the DA said he's not going to try the case again. And I'm so glad that the district attorney said that the case against them was weak in the first place. Folks, when things happen, I'm telling you, if you can afford to get a lawyer, and always keep some money away for a rainy day, because you just don't know what can happen in this life. But I'm so happy for them.
And I was getting ready to say, I think it's also important to bring out the fact that this was something that you've asked every DA that's come to True Bethel since whether they were running or just visiting. You've constantly asked every DA to look into this situation.
You know, Mark, I forgot about that, to be honest. Yeah, whenever they would come to True Bethel, and I would say it publicly, when somebody was running for district attorney, because to me, you can come. I want people to know who's running and all that, but we have to have our own agenda.
Absolutely.
And so I can't let you come to True Bethel and we don't have some things that we need, that I'm going to put you on the spot in front of people, record it. And I said this to Flynn when he came. I said, only thing, I don't ask for no job. I don't ask for nothing. I ask for what's good for the community. And you are totally right. When I meet personally with candidates who were running for DA, that was the first thing. The Buffalo Five. I need you to look into Buffalo Five. And I'll say this, Flynn did look into the Buffalo Five after being requested. This was the best thing that could have happened, is that a judge set it aside.
Right.
This was beyond, the district attorney looking at it and going, well, there's no case, blah, blah, blah. This was a judge doing it. They were in a court of law, and they are free men. The unfortunate part is some have passed, and at the end of the day, though, we celebrate the lives of these young men who now, McLeod all the way through, and big ups to former Judge McLeod, who all the way through, even as a judge, was saying these kids, they're grown men now, but he's talking about them as when they were kids,
right,
that these kids were innocent. And that, especially, that's the hard part. When one of their families could afford a lawyer and they get a lawyer, he gets off.
Yep.
How many people are sitting right now in jail or spending their last dime trying to, get off, or can't spend it last night because they don't have a dime? And if you have ever met somebody who's a public defender, first of all, it's a thankless job. They don't make a lot of money. And then they have a caseload, some of them of thousands. You think they remember? My refrigerator repairman didn't remember that he came and fixed my freezer the other day, and now my ice maker doesn't work. And I called him, and he said, I don't remember. So you think a public defender is going to remember when they've got so many cases that they've got to take care of? They don't have the time. They don't have enough time in most cases to really dig in deep.
I was getting ready to say, and the resources to go investigate,
Yes,
get the evidence and all of that. They don't have that kind of resources, or like you said, time.
right. Now, I know, and I don't know, and I'm saying public defender, I don't have that as a fact, because I know now if you're convicted of like a murder or something, there are times that the court will assign counsel. So it might not be a public defender, and I don't really know how that works, so I don't want to talk too much out of school, but what I will say is that the family that hired McLeod, that young man got off. So I'm going to cough. I don't have COVID. You can't cough no more.
No, sure can't.
Check this out. I had the dry cough for probably a month, almost a month. And I was on the plane, and you know how my throat only tickles at a certain time, especially when it's dry. Mm-hmm. Dude, I wanted to cough so bad. I said, so part of the leg of the trip, Monique had cough drops. So I'm like, now I think she had coughed, and I'm like, And then, since then, I've been cursed with a cough. So I had to get cough drops for her. So the other day I was coming back, and she wasn't with me and had no cough drops. I almost was in tears because I'm like, I can't cough. So I'm coughing like this.
Almost like you're trying to clear your throat.
Speaking of coughing, Superintendent Cash supports mask mandate but won't require vaccines for Buffalo Public Schools. Thank you. What do you think about that?
I think I can get with it. But are they checking vaccinations and status for Buffalo Public students?
I don't. Not students. students don't have to be vaccinated. He said, but won't require vaccines for staff.
Oh, for staff.
Yeah. Students, many of them can't be because they're under the age. I agree with it. I agree. I think that there should be a mask mandate. They are going nuts in Florida right now. Their governor,
Not just Florida, parts of Erie County, Niagara.
it's ridiculous. Oh, you're right. Even closer, because I heard that people were protesting Kathy Hochul's fundraiser about the mask mandate.
Yep.
Now listen, same way I do a lot of other type of funerals here, we are still burying out of this church people who have died of COVID.
Yep.
Like now, folks, like now. It might not be like back in the day. We are still burying people. This is real. And I've said all the way along, I encourage people to get vaccinated, but I wasn't about to be making people get vaccinated.
The top advocate.
I am all in for people being vaccinated. I think it's very important. And almost everybody who has recovered from COVID who was not vaccinated, almost everybody I've talked to, has said, I'm going to get vaccinated, and have turned from telling other people not to get vaccinated. So it's up to you. Y'all grown. You're grown. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, there probably hasn't been 2 to 3 weeks span where I'm not burying somebody else who has died of COVID. It's your choice.
Yeah, and because we talked, because I was like, nah, I'm good. And it wasn't so much because I didn't trust the vaccine. It was, if I have to relive any symptoms because of the vaccine, I didn't want to go through it.
Right.
Because I remember those 10 to 14 days and I didn't want no parts.
Yes.
So that was my biggest fear. But I appreciated the vaccine when I sat right behind somebody that ended up testing positive, and they said, if you don't have symptoms, you don't need to quarantine because you're vaccinated. And I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate it now.
Yeah, but you know what? And let me read some of these comments. Chucky said it's the backdrop for me. Oh, well, I didn't even notice. I looked. So Chucky is, what's behind? Yeah, I see something different than what you see. But it is kind of cool. Carolyn Lane says, people say you get 2 times the cough before people stay awake. Shelly Davis said you get the cough stare. Yes.
Sure do.
She said, I wholeheartedly agree with the mask mandate for all Buffalo public staff, visitors, and volunteers. Exactly. Diane, I'm so glad to see you doing better. Masks should be required. A lot of people feel it violates their rights to be required. Vaccines should be required too. Don't people understand this is a pandemic? And here's the bad thing. By now, we should be out of this.
Yep.
And we're still in it. In Florida, they've been turning away cancer patients like the beginning of COVID because they don't have the beds.
Yep.
They don't have the beds. And they're down there, and like you said, even close, arguing over whether there should be mask mandates. You know, we had a person get angry at True Bethel because she was told to wear a mask. So she called the police. Called the police because she was asked to leave. And the police said, okay. What you gonna do? You call the police because we're trying to keep people safe? Or have people walk out when we had to keep reminding them, you got to put on your mask, you got to put on your mask, you got to put on your mask, and get angry and walk out. Well, let me tell you this. You just going to be angry.
Bye.
You peace. Because what we're not going to do is allow you to pass this on in the name of my God covers me. Yes, God covers you. Yes, he does. But God also gives you common sense. You're going to tell me, God, I heard that, because I'm covered by the blood. I'm covered by the blood also. But it doesn't keep me from getting a cold.
Yeah.
It doesn't keep me from, I'm covered by the blood, but I'm also not going when the next Amtrak train is leaving this out of Buffalo and stand on the track and say I'm covered by the blood. Come on.
And it's funny.
Come on.
I watched. It was a post on social media, and it was some prophet in some church, and he was like, well, as the prophet of God, you have to believe my instruction. And I say, take those masks down and believe. And I watch people sit right in that church and look at them.
And let me tell you what I would have took down. Let me tell you what I would have took down. I would have took down my keys out of my pocket.
Yep.
And I would have exited that church. Now, I have colleagues who in the beginning of the pandemic was like, we ain't closing, we ain't this. We closed right away.
Sure did.
Now, we went down to a very small situation, but we closed right away. And even in the beginning, we weren't as careful. I mean, I'm out. We didn't know. First of all, you couldn't get a mask anywhere. And we weren't as careful as what we learned we had to be. But unfortunately, I lost a good friend who in the beginning, I told this story. I was really angry at him because he was still doing church and standing up there talking about the people go to Walmart. I thought you brought me some water. Yeah, you would have got a raise if you would have just brought some. A raise of my hand to say thank you. And he passed, and I remember calling him and saying, hey, you think you ought to have your people wearing a mask? And he's like, well, everybody going to Walmart. And I was like, okay, I get that. I totally get it, because I didn't agree when the governor governor, county executive, it was not the county executive, the governor. When the governor, they were leaving some things open, but then like, oh, you can only have 5 people at church. Like, what?
Right.
What? But no. Give us the same protocols. But like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
No, you're right. The endorsed Democratic for mayor.
Oh, and I got that. I have a note here for it, but you took my fire. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you're right.
No, go ahead.
She says for years in healthcare, you get a flu shot or you must wear a mask.
And she says you have the right to do what you want with your own body, but not when it poses a health threat to others. And I totally agree. Now, let me tell you how I am right now, and a lot of people may not know this. Although you've been vaccinated, and you all health professionals can tell me if I'm right or wrong, you can still carry the virus and pass it on. You may be asymptomatic. So I'm very careful around people who are not vaccinated. And you see, I got my mask still. Because I don't want to be responsible for passing on. Who knows who gives it to who nowadays? You just don't know. Things are being populated again. But at the end of the day, I think we got to be careful. Kamal says the virus has non-asymptomatic spread, which makes it exactly, Kamal, exactly. And Shelley Davis says, I'm right about that. So I still have to be careful. And even with me, there have been other people who have been vaccinated who got COVID again. The majority didn't have to be on life support.
Yep.
But the fact is, you can get it again.
In those breakthrough cases, the vaccine helps with the extreme symptoms. So, like you said, you don't end up on the far end of dealing with all of the health issues if you're vaccinated.
Absolutely. Okay, mask mandate. I got this whole thing. Carrier Horn, we worked really hard to get Carrier's law passed. We've been in their corner, so many people, this community. And again, I'm going to say community, because Buffalo 5, although they had 2 great lawyers, what helped that was the community sticking together. Carry on Horn, the community. Now we got to stick together as Monique says in the song she wrote for Run That Paper. She needs her money now. But guess what? I was talking to her yesterday. You know she's being sued, right? For defamation of character. From the guy who she pulled off of Neil Mack. He has a judgment, I think, and allegedly, and I may be off on numbers, but like $70,000. Well, let's get her money, number one, but what will stop it is this, I guess, this judgment from this defamation suit. Like, this just never ends, man. Never ends. So, I want to make sure from where I sit and any control or non-control, just the bully pulpit, that she gets her money. That's how I feel. She should be getting her money. Ross says you can be vaxxed and catch it. Yep. And you still can die. Yes. Yep. You still can. I mean, the science is still way out there. Everyone be safe, cover up, stay out of people's face. Ross, my wife was talking about you. We were in a town in Colombia called Palenque, and all African Americans who, not African Americans, they're not African Americans, all African Colombians who fled from Cartagena and made their own town. They had to keep it secret. Made their own town, and the descendants still live there. But she said you would love it because of the music. We had chance to see some of the famous people from Palenque who have been to the United States. One man was 90-something, almost 100, and he had. We were singing. He was sing. They let us go to his house. And he was singing, and they have some really interesting instruments like that you sit on and you pluck from in between your legs. But she thought about you, Ross, and was like, Ross would love this place. I said, I'm sure Ross knows about it. What?
Just looked at an email.
What?
Deputy Commissioner Lou Pertucci is retiring.
Wow. Okay, so why'd you look so?
Because Deputy Commissioner, he works in permits and inspections.
Yes.
Great guy to work with. If we call with an issue, he normally
he's right on it.
Inspector without in a couple of days. So it's a little sad for me.
Oh. Well, I'm happy for him because I'm 56 years old now.
That's right,
so
retirement. I forgot.
We don't use the R word. You say the R word. You don't say it because What else happened? Here we go. New governor. Kathy Hochul is now the governor, the first woman governor of the state of New York.
The 57th governor of the state of New York.
Woman as governor, woman as the state attorney general, woman as the majority leader of the state. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I think so. Let's talk about the future. Now she just picked he was an assemblyman, right, from
State senator.
A state senator. Just picked a state senator. Oh, right, because I saw him interviewing Andrea. And African American. I'm right on that one.
From Harlem.
From Harlem, because if she is going to run. She said it from the beginning. She is going to run. It would be very difficult for her to win without being possible.
Absolutely.
Without New York City. You got to have New York City.
Have to.
So if nobody else throws, and there will be people to throw their hat in the ring. If nobody else throws it in, she wins. And she'll be governor until next year. She went from, people might not know this, when you lieutenant governor, you get rode around the entire state in an SUV. When you become governor, you get the governor's airplane.
Helicopter.
And helicopter, and the mansion.
Yep.
And the mansion. Can you imagine The day before, when she was like, Psh, I ain't gonna be in this SUV no more. Getting on the plane, hi boys.
That's it.
So I hope now I'm just gonna say this. I mean, and I'm not about to talk about the case with Andrew Cuomo. That's done. That's over. But there were some good things that Andrew Cuomo did, and he did pay a lot of attention to Western New York.
Sure did.
And what a lot of people don't know, they think that the city did Northland Quarter. That's the state. The state basically funneled the money through the city. So that whole corridor over there and other things that have come to us, the affordable housing, the home funds, all that was during and I mean there were home funds before Como, but my point is he paid attention to Western New York. And I hope that, and I trust that she will. She's from Western New York. She's got to carry Western New York to run, number one. But it's a huge responsibility to be the governor of the state of New York. I mean, she's been on every talk show across the country and representing us well. So I wish her all the best.
Yep.
And look forward to seeing what she will bring to the table for Buffalo, because we still need a lot. Now, speaking of which, see, I told you I had so much to talk.
Well, hold on. Before you leave
Go ahead.
the governor, and let's not us do what we normally do when she's taken care of downstate and be like, well, she's supposed to be from here, but she ain't done nothing for us.
Well, we got to know what we want.
Right. Exactly.
Because that's the deal. At the end of the day, we have to know what we want, and then we have to stick together to get it and not be splintered.
Because we did the same thing with Obama. He ain't do nothing for black people, and he's supposed to be a black person.
Listen, I'm going to be straight up. I remember Hillary Clinton coming into Buffalo, met with clergy. Now, this was while she was working for us. What do you all want? What do you all want? Crickets. We got to know what we want.
Sure do.
And then from there, $300 million and more coming to the city of Buffalo. Now, part of that, it's got to for debt relief on, COVID hit everybody hard. But there are some innovative things that we were able to deliver for every councilmatic district. Every councilmatic district. But especially the districts that were hard hit by the pandemic. And I said this at a press conference yesterday. You have some people who were already just treading water, financially in every other way. When COVID hit, they started drowning, and some of them did drown. And at the end of the day, this recovery money, we have to make sure that struggling people, because struggling people equates to struggling neighborhoods often.
Yep.
And so it's not simply about building the neighborhood. It's about building people. That's for me. That was the biggest thing. And one of the things for, like I said, every district, their council members worked really hard. And the administration took every one of them, but we wanted it in writing. We wanted it in writing. So we got it in writing in a joint resolution. And now we're going to track it, because we don't just want to have that in writing and then these things never happen. For 10 years, I've been fighting for a community center over in the Fruit Belt area, because we got Johnny B. Wiley, but obviously the building part of it is very small. When the winter comes, there's no place in that neighborhood for those kids to go. They're not going to walk all the way over to the Pratt Center. That's not even realistic. That's not even realistic.
Sure isn't.
So we have been. We put money away for a study. We're working closely trying to get Ralph Wilson Foundation to help. And now there, in this plan, there will be a indoor community basic. It's a whole plan. It's not just the
Yep.
community center. It's a whole plan so that Johnny B. Wiley is a premier spot, not just for the fruit belt, but for people. Now, the reason that this was so important to me is because how do you have the medical campus, and even Matt Instis will tell you, I've been talking about this since day one of being elected. How can you have a medical campus where where you're fixing health issues and you don't have something so you can maintain health? And it was breaking my heart that all during the winter, you ride past and no activity. The pool was down. Only thing you had basketball. Of course, that was down during COVID. And so now you're talking about $20 million going into that area and other council districts that have either repairs on their community centers, additions. Health is important. Keeping our kids going is important, and information and teaching. So that will be a premier location for our city, But especially if you're if I got to look at people coming from other neighborhoods and the healthcare professionals, all that, and then I can't maintain mine in my area. So I'm grateful for that. And it was a working relationship. I will say that to get to this point, but it has to continue because I ain't going by no. Let's put it on paper and then we don't get it done. So that has to continue. You mentioned that India Walton is endorsed Thursday by the Democratic Party. And I saw the picture with her and Jeremy, I think was it in today's paper? Yeah, yeah. Like, you saw the picture?
Yep.
Like Jeremy was up here?
Yeah.
So I think, and India's, was on, so this isn't a slam. I think we might have to get her some heels the next time she's going to stand next to Jeremy.
Yeah. You know how the governor's podium
Yep.
has the little slide out stool?
Well, I'm not the tallest thing in the world. So when
They
I
didn't use that on you, did they?
no, yes, I have had to stand on the podium because the governor obviously is taller than the former governor, and so there have been times that the podium was afforded me the little box to stand on, but here's what's funny. So when I first started pastoring, most pulpits are so high that I had a pulpit built that I could adjust the flat part. It was a wood pulpit. I had it so that I could adjust it because I'm not the tallest thing in the world. But I didn't know India's height until, and I should have because we're both shorter people. So the party endorsed. I know that there is an appeal or something from the Brown camp to get on the ballot, right, as an independent.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, there's normally, after the actual petition process for the major line parties, a candidate has the option to do what they call an independent nominating petition, which therefore means you're creating a line to be on the ballot. With the state election laws moving the primary earlier, it also shortened that period and moved it earlier. So the hearing that I think was scheduled for today is to determine can they still do it based on kind of the old timeline.
Okay.
Yep.
This is going to be it's going to be an interesting race. Mm-hmm. Here's my fear. And where I think peacekeepers have to keep peace.
Absolutely.
Because our community is fractured enough. I want to hear about the issues. And I want to hear issues. And I think that especially those who should be keeping peace, that we have to do that because the conditions of our community is already challenging.
Yep.
And it's okay to take a side and not be the devil. Okay, so somebody supports India. Okay, they're not the devil. Somebody supports Brown. They're not the devil. That's the democratic process.
Yep.
Pick a side. It's okay if you want to pick a side, but don't. What I'm afraid is going to happen is you're going to have friendships fail, family fighting because you made a choice. So stop it. Yeah, there's write-in candidates. I'm hearing there's new candidates every day. Sharita Ingram says, if the time was moved in the beginning, why can't the time be changed now? I'll just say this. All of the timeline was changed.
Yes.
So if you change one, you got to change everything. I'm not the one to decide. I'm just saying it's in writing. How many declared write-in candidates are there? I don't know, Kamal. I don't know. I don't know. I know of one, but I know others are saying they're writing in, but I just know of one, and that's the mayor. And I've been told that others are saying they're writing in. Janique Curry, Short People Unite. Kamal, put the schools to better use after hours. Let me dabble in that a minute, because I want everybody to remember. Now, the school board got their own money from the Recovery Act, so they got tens of millions too. End of the day, this has to be the year of recovery for our young people in education. Because remember, they have spent a year at home. A whole, was it more than a year? No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. They have spent more than a year. Yeah, because we left out in what? March? Mm-hmm. So that year was gone, and then the next year.
Yeah, I think we're in like month 16, 17.
I don't care what anybody says. Our kids many of them will be severely behind. We have to take this year. And Kamal talked about the schools being used after. I know that the superintendent has a plan out there, but we've got to have intense help for our children. Intense help for our children. Their lives depend on it. Because I want you to remember, many of the private schools went back in. And those kids had instruction. And that's why this Recovery Act money, we must do it right. Because our greatest asset, our children, and parents and aunts and uncles, and this has got to be the year, we have to make sure they catch up, and it's going to be difficult. So I've already told my kids, and one of them is playing sports now. At the end of the day, this has to be the year of academics.
Yep.
Sports is all good, but I've already said it. Those grades start slipping, you coming off that football field. And I mean that. I mean, as much as it'll break my heart, I mean that with everything. Because I'd rather see him be disappointed about playing sports than not be able to go to college or trade school or whatever it is he's going to want to do in his life because of not having, and I'm not blaming this on teachers. God knows they did an incredible job under really hard circumstances. But now it becomes up to the community. And so I know that, True Bethel stands ready. And I know Pastor Badger has talked about this and the Urban Think Tank, this has got to be the time when our community centers, our churches, our schools step up to the plate. And so, these doors will be open to any credible organization that wants to help to tutor our children. I'm here. You retired teachers, you want to put together something? You got a space here. I'm concentrating now more on the ferry grider projects. Matter of fact, one of when we do the sneaker giveaway, I want to stop there first. And the reason is because what I realized, True Bethel built houses in this area. This is where we're planted, and of course True Bethel downtown, and of course True Bethel Niagara Falls. So if we concentrate on the areas where we're planted and to help in those areas, it broke my heart when the young man was killed, the little baby that we buried from here. And right then it was like, take care of what's around you. True Bethel stands ready to open its doors. I wouldn't care if we had 4 different programs here. Call me. Let's get our children, make sure our children stay on top of it. And then I do believe that the Board of Education that the school board, that they are doing something about extra help so that children do not fail the next grade. We got to do everything we can. This has got to be our focus this year. It has to be our focus. True Bethel is committed to that. I'm telling you all, we have to do it. A lot of people only like democracy when it suits them. I'm reading from Facebook. But who will volunteer when the schools open after hours? Come on. Oh, no, that's Chugi. I don't think anybody needs to volunteer. They got money. They got money to pay people to be there. They have money to pay the teachers to be there. They got, like we got 300 million. I don't know how much they got, but they got millions. And it's for education. And there is a plan. So I should have probably had somebody on from the school board, because this is so important. Carolyn Lane, 15 months. Kamal, will all the write-in candidates be invited to debates? I have no idea. That would be what whoever puts them together. I think if they are declared, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. Janique Curry says school district budget is more than the city budget.
Sure is.
Oh, definitely. Right. But I don't know what they got in that American Recovery
Rescue Act.
Right. So at the end of the day, the Rescue Act, it needs to be, we need to have trained professionals that are there to help our children. But again, I stand ready if somebody wants to do it. And I was just about to mention Duncan. He came up. Buffalo Public School cut the after-school programs this year because of the bus driver shortage. Wow. See, he always gives me some new knowledge. So we got to get, and there's shortages all over. I went in the Waffle House the other day, and they closed. I went in to get me a little waffle, get me some eggs and grits. And you know what they told me? We're not doing in-dining no more. And it was full of people. They cut it off.
Wow.
Because they ain't had no staff. People still not going back to work yet. And some of them can't go back to work because a lot of the bus drivers have children, some of them, and the kids were home. Oh, no. He said the after-school program. I take that back. BPS didn't include the community groups in the recovery plan. So I don't know much about, because I was working on the council side. Sharita Ingram says, you're old school like our parents, where no good grades, no sports. Listen. Only a small majority of our young people make it to professional sports. You got better chance of winning the lottery, right? But if we can get them educated and they love sports and they've got options. I ain't playing. I'm going back to that old school because our kids then just end up out there. Kamal says parents and students should have options for remote learning. So that's what I was going to bring up, because I know that Duncan had brought it up, and Sam, I believe, and others who brought up there still may need to be options until this thing is over. Now, I totally agree with that. But I would like to see, and I think it was Duncan in the interview said this, I would like to see where you have teachers that all they have to do is online, so that they don't have to do the classroom and online. That would be a lot. I was a teacher. That just would be a lot of trying to interact. I'm not a professional anymore in that area. I don't do that. But I think that I agree with the fact that there should be options.
So, got your answer. The Buffalo Public Schools are receiving $289 million from the ARP.
Amen. But it's got to be used right. This community must know the importance of getting our young people back on track.
Absolutely.
Carolyn Lane says, Duncan is sad, but many of the bus drivers are retired people, and they probably don't feel safe with the COVID. Plus, the amount of pay is low, and not parents are so not all disrespectful. I used to be a bus aide a long time ago. Yeah, Duncan said over 300 million. Janique, there's a bus shortage across the country. There's a shortage of employees across the country. In-person is best for 90%, but the 10% or so should have the option. I'm telling you, I would love to see an option. But my biggest thing right now is we have to get our children our scholars, as Dr. Cash says, the help that they need. But they also are going to need responsible adults around them to make sure that they do go where something is being offered. We got to do it. We have to. We got to educate our adults enough to know the importance of that. I can't help. I got a master's degree. I have a master's degree. And I cannot help either of my children with certain work. Now, if they need to write a paper, I'm all in. Their math, I'm all out. Like, I'm all out. I'm not there. So I know that I got to get somebody else in up to do what I cannot do. Kamal says safety first. Chugi says extend summer youth program for tutoring. I'm with anything that's going to help our children, especially those who have not been to school in more than a year.
But I do think if the Buffalo Public Schools is getting $289 million, you can probably take just a rough estimate, 20 million of that, and upgrade the technology in every school, in every classroom, to give a teacher the technology to be able to have a hybrid classroom. I just personally believe that.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what Craig is talking about.
With the guns out?
Huh? No, he said, and an honorary doctor.
Oh, because you said you had a master's degree. But he did earlier say you got the guns out with that polo.
Oh yeah, let me sit right here. Yeah, I've been
out, guns out.
Well, I have been. I was bad for the last 3 weeks, and I did not work out. And I ate bread, so I was off. I did eat bread, and now I'm returning back. So I made tacos last night, but I didn't. You know how you have the tall shell?
Yeah.
They got a little flat one.
Flat
now.
ones, yeah.
I put it in the little flat one. See,
okay.
Because I'm staying down. Yep. I done lost my COVID weight.
Taco Thursday.
Okay. and today gonna be fried fish Friday. Hold on.
Hint to those in the back. Find the fish place.
Oh gosh. So September 1st, I'm gonna stop. But I was getting a little too little. You can't do that.
Mm-mm. Eyes get all sunk into their
head.
You start looking like an alien.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you who pays the bills. Hobson's the doctor of dry cleaning. Folks, you can take anything over there. Shirt, shoes, literally sneakers. Hat. One of my favorite hats has a stain now from sweating, and it's the worst. Hobson's Dr. Dry Clean. You would take anything over there to be cleaned except your kids. Don't bring Nook and them over there. Talking about can you clean them up?
No.
Don't bring Nook over there. Anything you want clean, Hobson's the doctor of dry cleaning. And of course, in your time of need, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. 3 locations to save you. 347 Peckham, 2528 Bailey, 1275 Sycamore. This week, they took care of just among the few. Hopefully I don't mess up any name. The Marshall Jones family, the Campfield family, the Williams family, the Naher family, the Morris family, Hashim family, and the Moses family. They took care of Moses. Sharita says, if we're paying, when you said you have, Shuki following better than I am, because I was like, yes, I did get an honorary doctorate from a school, but I earned a master's. Some people say you took your master's. I took my master's. Kamal, your production values have stepped up, looking good. Thanks, Kamal. That's on this guy. Let me put him on camera. Click. Oh, you so slow. I was supposed to look like I did that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's try it again. Click.
Hold on.
Oh,
Let me switch it back.
I'm telling you the truth.
Hold on, I got
All right, you ready?
Yep.
That's because of this guy. Click. Mark, this was Mark's idea. We talked about upgrading, but I'm going to be serious. He didn't spend all of my money. I don't.
Still need more sponsors, by the way.
Yeah, we need sponsors. We'll talk you up like we talk up Hobson's. We'll talk you up like we talk up Brian K. Lewis. We need a restaurant sponsor so
Yes.
that and you could just sponsor for 1 week. 1 week. All you have to do is make us a meal, and we'll tell you how much. It ain't gonna hurt you. It ain't gonna hurt you. But I'm gonna eat your meal.
I was going to say, it's only 2 of us.
We're gonna eat your meal. Oh yeah, we'll eat your meal right here. Now, if it's bad, no, it ain't gonna be bad.
We'll be like, you have good character. That's the code word. You have good character, nice personality.
Listen, I gotta go. Is Rashad is over there today?
Yes.
Rashad's got the controls. Rashad, I'm throwing it back over to you. Until next week, power to the people.